Hi, I'm Sage. I decided to record myself rambling on a bit about the Fomorians of my ongoing sci-fi or fantasy series, Connacht Disaster Zone. In real life, the Fomorians are the giants of Irish mythology, similar to the trolls of the Nordic mythology. But in this universe I'm building, it's become the given name for the disparate tribes and gangs of orcs that are nestled in and under the hills of Western Connacht. They're basically the dwarves and humans that were left behind when the Dwarven League pulled out of Connacht during a disaster in the mid-19th century. Main difference between them and dwarves or humans is denser muscles, though many will also show fangs or a green skin fungus that resembles psoriasis. The denser muscles are caused by an airborne mutagen that denatures their myostatin receptors. Myostatin is a protein that's been linked to regulating muscle growth, and there have been humans born with mutations that block it or prevent it being produced, which results in increased muscle mass or strength. There's also two breeds of cattle bred specifically for similar mutations, so I'm not a biologist or biochemist, but it strikes me as at least being plausible. I also took a bit of inspiration from the super mutants of the Fallout games, in that one of my earlier thoughts was to make the Fomorians into a mid-19th century super soldier program, similar to the FEV stuff from Fallout. That hasn't gone anywhere, and I don't know if it will, in part because the dwarves will not contemplate the idea of having orcs in their forces. The Brits will, but only if they were servicemen who got forcibly turned. This particular Fomorian is a generic bandit with a cobbled together shotgun, and yes, I know he's got his finger on the trigger. Bad practice right there. The main Fomorian organisations I've covered in this universe so far are the Fomorian Brotherhood and the Orc clan. The Brotherhood are based in the southern hills of Corcog and Malmain, and they're widely believed by those outside the zone to be snatching people from past Lochcarb to deliberately turn them into other Fomorians. Hence why there's a massive wall along the landside edge of Lochcarb. While this isn't entirely wrong, they consider themselves to be a first line of defence against the Banshees, if not legitimate authority after the dwarves pulled out. The orcs are based around Letterfrack, Cleggan and Diamond Hill up to the northeastern edge of the map. They've been a bit more in focus, with two of my recurring characters coming from among them. Now, in this universe, Diamond Hill contains a sea lock and canal into the 12 Bend Mountains, so even with the Dwarven forts on Inchbuffin, about 15-20 kilometres away from Letterfrack, it's still a hub for trade, legal or otherwise, and they don't hide the fact that they're smugglers. Most of the sketches I've drawn of Fomorians tend to include fangs and fungus, purely because I can't draw muscles very well, and they wouldn't necessarily show up under their clothing anyway. However, I do have some with a couple of major characters that don't. Skin fungus is sensitive to UV light, so just standing out in the sun each day will eventually kill us off, so that explains that away. I don't have an explanation for why some don't get the fangs, just chalk it up to a... So far I have two main plotlines around the Fomorians. One involves an unsanctioned laboratory run by the East India Trade Company, the Dwarven West Connacht Trading Company, trying to uncover their origins off Fomorian Island, which is just around the corner from Letterfrack and Cleggan. The second involves a detention centre for Fomorians, and includes a couple of victims of that lab trying to come to terms with being experimented on. Both short story collections are linked in the description, and I have another in the works where Fomorians give their viewpoints on being Fomorians. There's also a few stories around some other power attempting to troll the dwarves and the British Navy by smuggling guns to the orcs, and then trying to stir up a panic about it. In the real world, Germany tried smuggling guns to Ireland to help in the Easter Rising in 1916, but the ship was captured before it could hand them over. And here's the completed image.